I love to be all crazy and whatnot, but we have to all be a little respectful here. You know, I'm Mr. Dave. This is the 106th episode of the Offshore Gamescast. If you can't see, the lights are off. We actually have a couple of sleeping buddies in the background. They've been through a bit of a hard day's work. Um, but Mr. Dillon would know a little bit more about that than me, so I'm going to pass it off very gently.
Red Pikmin, get the fuck off the purple Pikmin. Sorry, they're misbehaving back there. They're
Mine
supposed to
are
be sleeping.
mine are sleeping. Yours are fucking.
Yeah, that's all they do in this game. I'm Dylan. This is Pikmin 4. All right. All right, before we talk about that, last week we did a Final Fantasy 16 review. And by we, I mean you and Andrew from the Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers podcast.
He stopped by, giving us all of the important details while I complained a lot. And what else is new?
Yeah, it was all very on brand.
It was.
But that was a good time. So go check that out and check out his show. We were on an episode there. They interviewed us. That was a great time. Played a little fun game at the end. Go check that out. All right, today is Pikmin 4. And then next week, Dave, who has no headphones on and can't hear me.
I'm listening. My hair's a little messy.
And
See,
next week,
it looks
Dave.
so much better.
And next week, Dave, we have big news.
Lyle's returning. Everything seems to be going better. She seems to be feeling better. Everything's looking good, and she'll be back with some Oxenfree 2, which sounds very exciting. And Mr. Dillon,
What's with the Mister?
Because think of it like daddy daycare, but like the daycare is the Pikmin, right? So but we're not too formal. Like, you're not gonna sit there and say like, oh, I'm Mister, and say your last name and whatnot. You're gonna be like, oh, hey guys,
So
hey
it's
kids,
like
I'm
kindergarten?
Mr. Dillon, I'm the cool guy, and here comes Mr. Dave with the sody pop, like that kind of thing.
All right, on August 17th, we're talking about WrestleQuest as the year of wrestling continues with the Offshore Gamescast. Before we get into Pikmin 4, one last thing. If you are listening to this on any podcast app, or if you are watching this on YouTube, where we have gameplay and our faces, if you are more visual than audio, then please follow us, subscribe to us, rate on podcast apps, write reviews, comment on videos. That sort of engagement is what really helps us the most and is the best way to support us. Thank you. All right. Pikmin 4. Developed by Nintendo.
When did the first one come out?
GameCube. Whatever year that was.
I was gonna say, because GameCube is not a when.
It kind of is. It's a range of years.
I guess. Oh, October 26th, 2001.
All right. There it was. Over 20 years ago. No, well, yes, over 20 years ago.
Over 21 years ago.
Not over 22 yet.
No.
Soon. Came out July 21st of 2023 and the platforms, as Dave so politely and calmly put in our doc, Nintendo fucking Switch, baby.
The Nintendo fucking Switch, baby!
Which, I mean, that's for the next year, because apparently we're getting our next-gen Nintendo console the second half of next year, and I have no idea what that is going to look like.
My favorite thing is seeing all like people's photoshopped concepts of what it could be, and it's like, though, if you look at it now, it's just as bonkers as like when we were supposedly getting the Xbox 720 and like a spherical console and shit. I saw it today. There was a mock-up of basically a Switch to a T, except imagine a very wide Samsung Fold. So like you just take it and like you just flip an extra part up and the screen is bigger now.
So it's kind of like a DS Switch.
pretty much with one full screen and has like the bendy nature. I'm like, this is never gonna happen.
I mean, it's Nintendo, so you never really know what's gonna happen. But I feel like there's no way they go back from the whole like handheld and TV console thing, right? Like they're not splitting that up again.
I it's hard because Nintendo does Nintendo stuff,
That's the
but
thing. You don't know. It's not like, oh, a new PlayStation or Xbox coming out and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, the PlayStation might make a funky design, but it's gonna be
I
just more powerful that.
I don't know because honestly, what console besides the Wii U can you say that they have ever messed up?
Um yeah. Yeah. There might be something like super old school in there or something,
I
but
mean, you could go crazy. You could be like, "Oh, just regular Famicom," or like, "Oh, just the Virtual Boy." If no, doesn't count. Doesn't count.
yeah, they have a good other than the Wii U, which even that had like some pretty well, it had a few really good games on it.
Until the Switch came out, and they were like,
And then
"Man, we
like
we really need people to actually play these games."
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't see them going back from it. But I also don't know how that's a next gen console and not just a Switch iteration then.
I mean, it's hard to say. With Nintendo doing their shit, it's probably going to stay the way it is. But I mean, they've already
That's
revolutionized it. But at the same time, we're going to have PlayStation and Xbox. We already see PlayStation's model Project Q, which looks like the stupidest piece of shit thing I've ever seen.
PlayStation Model Q. I don't know about this.
You don't? They announced it during the PlayStation event. It's,
Oh, that thing.
yeah,
Okay. Yes, I know that thing.
it is the stupidest fucking thing that I've seen.
Yeah.
Because again, for some reason, PlayStation is addicted to making you buy like hardware that you can stream from your TV to. Not just play the fucking game
Yeah.
on it, but like, hey, buy this, and then now you can pretend to have a Switch.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what Nintendo does. But let's talk about Pikmin.
Let's talk about
This
Pikmin.
this is it's more Pikmin is what it is.
Up to from my knowledge, it's less Pikmin.
It's okay, maybe.
There's no green.
I don't was green ever a type?
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, for the record, I've played the first two on GameCube. Oh, okay. Well, there is a green Pikmin in this one. It's just not called green.
What's it called?
Um, I don't think there was ever a real green Pikmin. It doesn't look like it.
What are these other Pikmin things?
What are they?
It said Pikmin Sinister Incinerator and Pikmin the After Years.
That doesn't sound real.
I don't know what this is.
I don't think. What did you say? Pikmin the Incinerator? There's no way that's real.
Pikmin Sinister Incinerator.
All right, hold on. Let's take a look at this here.
Oh, it might not have ever came out.
I don't know anything about this. This doesn't look real though.
System and rating. It would be for Wii, but it is unlikely the game will ever be made. It would most likely be rated T for frightening images, mild blood, fantasy violence. Frightening images are mostly towards the end, though.
This doesn't feel real. It doesn't sound like Pikmin at all.
So, also in the info, it says this game is in the Build Up Trilogy. The Build Up Trilogy is 3 games that build up to the unknown Pikmin game of a serious nature. So, if this is true, then Pikmin Sinister Incinerator is part 1. Then there's Pikmin Redemption. And possibly, what was the last one? The After Years. What the fuck? I don't know anything about Pikmin,
This
and this is
sounds
blowing my
very
mind.
not real.
Pikmin, the After Years. This game is. What the fuck is this? Is this?
They're fan games.
They're fan games. So why is it in the
They're
wiki?
not real.
So
The wiki, have you seen what the wiki is? It's Pikcanon-not.
I'm on pikminfanon.fandom.
Yes. And on Google, it says Pikmin, Sinister Incinerator, Pikcanon-not fandom.
No, that's not what comes up on when I just click on it.
On the actual wiki, it doesn't say that, but in the Google headline, it does.
This is weird. But
It's not
still,
real.
It's too real still.
It's not real. There are green Pikmin in this game. They're just not called green Pikmin.
That's dumb.
Well, we'll get there. We're getting way ahead of the game here.
We're talking about games that don't exist.
This is more Pikmin. If you've played Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, and I have not played Pikmin 3, but I presume Pikmin 3, even though I know that was supposedly a bit different, that you know what this is. It is RTS Lite. It's Nintendo. It's certainly nothing super complicated. It's very approachable as someone who struggles with any sort of strategy games and working with them. So it is a direct continuation. It seems like Olimar crashes once more, as he does. And just like always, his ship parts get scattered, and he has to use his Pikmin to collect the ship parts and rebuild his ship. But quickly, we are not playing as Olimar anymore. He sent out a rescue signal to the rescue corps. So the rescue corps are like, we gotta go save this guy. It's a special elite team. They go. Their ship crashes on the planet as well. They get scattered. Their ship is not working. So, you are the rookie of the rescue corps who was not sent on this expedition. You now have to make a solo trip to go not only save Olimar, but also save the rescue corps. You make your own character.
Can you make him look just like Olimar?
Yes. Not exactly, I would imagine. But you could probably do something pretty close.
I would have done that. Is that me over there?
So you make your character. It's very basic, like character customization. Like the face is kind of just like you pick which face you want, which controls like the nose, the eyes, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Or eyes might be separate, but nose and mouth I think are one thing. The few hair selections with some hair colors, and you choose the color of your suit. And so I picked blue, and it seems like based on what color you choose, that is the color that all the other rescue corps people will be wearing, along with like the highlights on your ship. Unless I just so happen to pick blue and everyone else is wearing blue and the ship also has blue. But it seems like whatever color you choose, they would match that.
Let's see.
Look it up. Look up Pikmin 4 Rescue Corps. Tell me what color they're wearing. We're on Google for so much of this episode already. It matches it. I'm seeing ones in orange. I'm seeing ones in red. Seems like blue was a popular choice.
Okay, because I'm seeing a lot of thumbnails with blue.
There's definitely a lot of blue,
oh,
but I'm also seeing ones in orange.
Green.
So, yeah, it matched it, which that's cool. That was a cool little touch. I liked that. You need to find. So you land on the planet. You don't crash, believe it or not. You find Ochi, who is a big dog. Basically, it's not a real dog, but it's a dog-like creature.
Does it
Uh,
have 2 legs?
that's a good question. Let's go back to Google. Because now I was gonna say no, I don't think so, but actually looking at it now, yeah, it has 2 legs.
Yeah, I thought it did. That's fucking terrifying.
No, it's adorable. Ochi is
I
adorable.
I hate it.
Ochi is a good pup.
2 legs,
Ochi
so
is a great pup.
so top heavy or massive hammies.
Massive hammies.
Massive hammies.
Uh, Ochi and you team up, and you quickly find a couple people of the SS Shepherd, including Captain Shepherd. That was they are the captain of the rescue corps, and that is the ship. And there is a 0% chance that I don't think that is a reference to Mass Effect. Um, and you kind of start a little hub area, which we'll get into more later. But SS Shepherd is fucked up. You need to find Sparklium to power it up and upgrade it once more back to its full capacity. Sparklium you get by collecting sparkly treasures. And sparkly treasures are just objects, human objects.
So you're a goblin.
You're tiny.
You're a goblin.
You're a tiny little thing.
Goblin
So,
brain
like,
has kicked in, and you need anything shiny.
they literally sparkle. But like a lot of the treasures are, it's like one of them's a Game Boy Advance SP. And that Game Boy Advance SP is way bigger than you. One of them is a Game Boy Advance cartridge, and that must be like 20 of you. So you're tiny.
Uh, I answered one of my own questions, but can you pick stuff like that up? Like the cart?
What do you mean? Like, can you?
Like the Game Boy cart? Like, is that something that you just collect?
So, all right. Well, this is a good segue into gameplay here because that's the first thing. Use your Pikmin. They carry things. Everything has a weight to it, or
Yeah.
not necessarily a weight, but like
That strength. How many Pikmin needed to pick it up, right?
yes. So let's say
Right.
like the Game Boy Advance cartridge. Let's just say is 7. You need 7 Pikmin to carry that. The larger the treasure, the more Pikmin it needs.
Hard cut cattail.
For those that don't understand, go to YouTube. So it could get there's some big ones, but luckily you expand the amount of Pikmin you can get. We'll get to that. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a lot of systems going on in this game. So
the amount of systems might shock you.
The treasures get you. This is not System Shock. The treasures might get you. They will get you the Sparklium, but you can also collect raw materials, which are like these blue crystals, and those are used for everything. They're used in the hub area, which we will get to. They are used to build things in the world, which we will get to. But those are the two main things you're collecting. It's either getting you Sparklium or you're getting raw materials. And the main crux of this game is that it's like an RTS troop management, basically. So you are you have Ochi the dog, and you have your Pikmin. To start, I want to say you can have let's say 20 Pikmin at once.
Okay. Do you like start off with 20 or do you gather up to 20?
You gather up it's like all part of the tutorial, basically gets you there. I don't know if you actually start with 20, might be 10, might be 30. It's like something like that.
And at what point do you give them a bath?
No. Well, you can. Most of them will die.
I want all of them to die.
You can make that happen.
I think I saw one video where some dude walked somewhere and accidentally walked like his entire group into the water.
So, luckily, this game does have a feature. I haven't used it, but in the pause menu, you can rewind time by a certain amount of time. So, if that happens, you can get all your Pikmin back. I've certainly lost in battles like upwards of 40 Pikmin. but
Mm-hmm.
I've never used it because it's kind of like, no, like I lost them in that battle. It's part of the challenge, but it's an option
Yeah,
for those that want it.
because I feel like for these type of games, that's half the draw. Is fucking up in a way.
Yeah, and I will say I've also been doing everything, like collecting everything. So my Pikmin supplies are through the roof. I am having no struggles with Pikmin.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works is you can only have a maximum amount of Pikmin at once. So let's say you start with 20, your max Pikmin is 20, and you can only have 3 different types at once.
At first.
You can only ever have 3 different ones out at once.
Ooh. Do you? All right. So how? Explain how that works, because obviously
Okay.
there's more than 3 types.
Yes.
Do I mean? Do you have to go back to like a hub world to like switch it out?
So each level, there's 6 different areas, and each area has 3 different base spots where you can have your base. You
Mm-hmm.
can move your base freely between them. So like if you come across a new base spot, you can just move it there. If you want to move it back to the old one, you can move it there. Um, and at your base, you have a little like mini ship thing where the treasures get sucked up into,
Mm-hmm.
and it converts it into sparklium. And then you have the Pikmin onion, which is kind of an onion shaped thing that is like above ground with little vines coming out of it going into the ground to hold it up. And at that onion, you can choose what amount of what Pikmin you want with you.
Is there a minimum?
I guess you probably have to have one.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, can you have 100 Pikmin? Have 49 be this one, 49 be that one, and then like, or
Yes.
40, 49, 50, and then one red one.
If you really wanted to, yes,
Okay.
you can. So I will say each different level does a thing where it's like, hey, we recommend these Pikmin types.
Right.
And then you could just hit X, which is auto, and it will automatically divide it evenly among the recommended types.
Okay.
I did that the whole game and have had zero issue with that.
Okay.
Um, so what you collect around each base are these little, they're flowers with big numbers on them and a color.
Mm-hmm.
And those colors will cycle based on what Pikmin you have in your group. So let's say you have, when you start out, you just have red Pikmin. Those flowers with the numbers are all going to be red. And it'll be in increments of, it'll either be 1 and 5, which is usually around the base, and there's a rare 10 that you can find in each level.
Okay.
You bring that back to the onion, and based on what color it is, it will either shoot out those Pikmin to add to your squad, unless your squad is like full. If it's full, it adds it to the reserves of that Pikmin color. So
Okay.
okay, let's do it. Let's just keep it simple with red.
Right.
Beginning of the game, you only have red Pikmin. Let's say 20 is your max. You have 20 red Pikmin out with you.
Mm-hmm.
You bring a red 5 pellet to the onion. Now there are 5 red Pikmin sitting in reserves of that onion. Let's say, shit, I had a bad fight. 5 red Pikmin just died. You can go back to that onion and call out those 5 red Pikmin.
Is there a limit to the amount of reserves you can have?
I haven't seen that yet. Like red Pikmin is the one I have the most of, because that is like kind of later on you're not using them as much, but for the good like first half of the game, basically they're
Okay.
like one of your main ones. I have hundreds of those in reserves.
Okay.
And I've been collecting everything, and those pellet things, I think they're called like pellet. When you destroy the flower, it's just like the big circle with the number in it that drops, and you bring that back.
Okay.
Those respawn around bases pretty consistently, so whenever
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a base and I see them, I just collect them real quick. And the way that works is you are either on foot or you're riding Ochi, and all the Pikmin will grab onto Ochi.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you throw Pikmin at things. So there's that flower with 5. You throw 5 Pikmin at it, they'll destroy it, and then those 5 Pikmin will carry the pellet back. It does a very nice thing of, let's say you find a treasure, and you need 7 Pikmin, and it will show you like when you start throwing stuff at it how many you need. You can just spam the throw button, and once it gets to 7, it kind of like, if you keep spamming, it kind of blocks it for a sec. It's like, hey, you got what you need.
Mhm.
And then if you want to, you can throw more onto the treasure to do like 14 out of 7, and now they're going to carry it back to that base twice as fast.
Oh.
But that is where some of the management comes in. They have to bring that treasure and everything back to the base. At some point, you're going to be moving pretty far from the base.
Mhm.
And there are plenty of enemies about. I will say they don't respawn. So if you kill out all the enemies in an area, your Pikmin are safe to just carry those treasures back for the most part. There's some stuff in later levels that, you know, but I'm not going to go over every single thing in every level.
Guns.
Yeah, that's what happens. When Pikmin die, that's it. So it is important to keep a reserve. So if you have like I said, a bad fight, you lose 40 Pikmin, they're dead. And every single time it happens, one of the rescue corps guys like messages in, like a blurb appears in the middle, and they're like, "Oh man, not the Pikmin." And you're like, "Yeah, I know they're dead. I feel like shit." They die, and these little ghost Pikmin spirits float up to the sky, and it's sad.
I feel like that happens. Like if that were to happen enough times, you're like, oh no, not the Pikmin. I'm like, yeah, Greg. Well, it would have been me. And then where would we be, huh?
All Pikmin have maturity levels.
Oh,
So
have any are any of them sinister in
no, there's none of that.
incarcerations? I
None
don't
of
know.
that. When you get a Pikmin, they start with basic, just little leaves on their head, a little green leaf. That's their basic one. You can find this like sap.
When you throw the Pikmin, do you pick them up by their like thin bodies and rip the leaf out of their head and chuck them like a grenade?
No,
Is that
you just kind
update
of grab
coming?
them. You grab them and just throw them, and you spam it. You throw them fast, and they're always happy about it. So like you throw them, and it'll just, if you're spamming it, it'll just be like woo 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 woo.
They're all
That's
just
them like cheering.
they're all just brainwashed acrobats.
they're, they they're not the smartest.
Oh no, they're lemmings.
So they have maturity levels. You come across sap. They'll be like a little. Think of like a water bubble from Grounded on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and a certain amount of Pikmin can eat that, and then it disappears. But then they grow a maturity, which the next step is just like a budding flower, just like it hasn't bloomed yet. And then the final one is they have flowers on their head, and they move faster. And I want to say they'll be a bit stronger in combat, but moving faster is kind of the main thing.
Okay.
So you find sap like everywhere. Sometimes you kill an enemy, it's a drop of sap on the ground. You find an egg and you break it, there's sap. It's everywhere.
Inception.
It's Inception. All right, let's talk about the different types of Pikmin you get. Like I said, you can only have 3 out at once, but the levels are designed in such a way that you don't really need more than 3 types at once.
Well, let's start with green.
No, that's going to be our last one. Start with red. They are your basic Pikmin. They're kind of the all-arounders, and they are immune to fire. Yellow, that you could throw them higher. So some treasures like up on ledges, you throw them, they will do more of a higher arc. So that's how you get those, and they're immune to electricity. Blue ones won't drown in water. The rest will. They'll just die.
I like how you phrased it, like won't drown in water instead of ability to swim.
No, they won't drown in water. They don't swim, actually. They run across like the bottom of the water.
It's terrifying.
And so do you, unless you're on Ochi, and at some point Ochi gets the ability to swim, and then all the Pikmin grab onto Ochi. So you can still cross bodies of water as long as you're riding Ochi. But if you want to get the treasures at the bottom, you need those blue ones.
Okay. Assumedly, there's hazards underwater for the blue ones. Can't just be that.
There's
easy.
enemies. There's like fish enemies. Purple ones. They're heavy. So you throw them and they like slam into the ground, and they're strong. Let's say you find a treasure. You need 10 Pikmin to carry it. You just need one purple one. One purple Pikmin is
Whoa.
worth 10.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So one red, one blue, 98 purple.
Sure.
Perfect.
It won't be great for combat. And you don't it's they're it would be impressive to get 98 purple ones. You're not finding purple pellets.
I mean, if they have a heavy smash and I can throw them, that's like raining down hail. That's a lot of damage.
White Pikmin, they're immune to poison. Rock Pikmin, they are the only ones that can destroy specific crystal walls. They're literally just little stones with eyes, and then the little things coming out of the head. Winged Pikmin are flying enemies, and they will fly. Like if you're bringing your treasure back and it's all winged Pikmin, they will fly it back to the base, which can make it quicker because they can just like fly over things instead of having to go along paths around things.
Enemies?
Yeah, there are some flying enemies though, so gotta account
Okay.
for that.
But your winged Pikmin are not enemies.
No.
Okay.
They're friends.
You got the winged Pikmin. They're enemies. So I'm like, hold on now.
Did I say they're enemies?
Yes.
Oh god, I don't know what I meant to say.
So there's winged Pikmin. They're flying enemies. I'm like,
Oh, I did.
So I'm just like, okay.
I don't know why I put it. I'm sorry. I did write down enemies in the talk. They're not enemies. That's wrong. It's just false.
I was like, you know what? They're enemies, but we pay them a good rate, so they'll still fly our stuff back.
They're not enemies. Scratch that.
Winged Pikmin flying, and they fly.
And not enemies.
Not flying enemies.
Ice Pikmin. So they won't die in water. They can't cross it. You throw Ice Pikmin in water, and depending on the size of the body of water, the more Ice Pikmin you will need to freeze it. You freeze it, obviously all the Pikmin can now cross it and carry treasures across it. And also, if there are some enemies that are like so big in like a smaller body of water that like some of it is sticking above water, you freeze it, they're frozen now, and you can just attack the frozen top of them. And it's just a free kill with no risk.
Ooh. And now is that so? Like, it freezes the entire like puddle or whatever.
Yes.
So like, hypothetically, can you just throw some of your blue Pikmin down there, freeze it, and then you're like, oh shit.
I actually haven't done that, so I don't know what would happen.
I'm just here.
They'd probably be fine because there are enemies that can freeze your Pikmin and they will be frozen.
Well, can you use a fire one and turn the ice into fire and like water again?
No, so the red Pikmin are immune to fire, but they don't like breathe fire. They don't do fire attacks.
If you put some blue guys in the water and freeze the water, those blue guys are fucked.
No, because I guess this is a good time to mention a couple of things. You have your whistle, which is how you call Pikmin back to you.
No Pikmin is getting called back. Absolutely frozen solid in ice.
So when your Pikmin are frozen, when you hold down the whistle button, like a big circle appears for the range. And if they're frozen or they're on fire and running around, that takes care of them. That's all you need, just a whistle.
Okay.
That's it. That's all you need.
Oh, the immersion. I just got ripped out so hard.
Well, you could think that like they're frozen and the whistle is coming, and they hint at some like wanting to study Pikmin and why the whistles that they have, why they react to it, and why they follow it so much. But you could picture if they're like frozen and the whistle's happening, they're like, okay, I gotta get to the whistle. I gotta get to the whistle. I gotta get to the whistle. Ah! And they break out of the ice.
in like a dramatic, like the ice cracks and shoots out like a volcano.
They got a very anime style.
Because I'm picturing like the Flash phasing through the molecules and like popping out.
Think of it like that.
Okay, that's what I'm picturing. Oh my god.
Last but not least, glow Pikmin. We will get to that later, but they're green, Dave.
That's what they want me to think. The
They
first
are.
green
The
Pikmin came
color
out
is
in
green.
in sinister
No,
incineration.
no, that's not real. All right.
Ugh.
I also do want to mention you kill enemies and you can bring them back for resources as well. They give you like a little bit of sparklium.
Huh. Do you have to like do you have to have your Pikmin like drag a body?
Yeah, they carry a body back.
Nice.
That's what they do.
Nice.
Um, onions. You can find those out in levels, and so you have your main onion as your Pikmin base.
Dude, that is the most perfect like significant other spouse nickname. If you're on a farm, you're Hunyon. Oh, dude, I
Someone's definitely
love it.
used it before.
100%. But you know what? We're trademarking it.
All right, sick.
Just
It
like
fits with our whole nautical theme,
just like our soda.
Yeah. Um, you can bring so you have your main Pikmin onion base where you call them out. You can bring there's either like these neutral colored
Hey,
onions.
yo, motherfucker. Get out here right now.
You have your neutral colored onions, which you can bring back to the base, and those expand the amount of Pikmin you can carry with you by 10.
Okay.
So that's how you expand. I have 100 Pikmin at the moment, and it's a lot of Pikmin. You can also bring back. So when you start out, you just have red, right?
That is the most amount. In Pikmin 4, the maximum is 100.
Okay, that would make sense. Um, you start out with just a red onion, and then you can find a blue onion, let's say, or a yellow onion, and then you will have like a tri-colored onion base, and that will let you bring back the different colored pellets to then like bulk up your reserves of that Pikmin.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Do the onions have like are those reserves, how do I word this? You're not having to go from base to base to be like, oh, I have 5 red Pikmin there, 6 over here, 20 over
no.
there.
So when you bring like the blue onion back, it fuses with the main one, and now it's like half red and half blue, like visually. But you just go to
Okay.
that same thing. That's where you call out all your Pikmin and trade out whatever you want.
And then when you get to a new area, those reserves are already there.
Yeah. So each base, so you can have there's 3 base spots in each level, and that Pikmin onion thing flies back to the hub area with you at night and flies with you to every base you go to.
Okay.
So it's just the same one reserve everywhere. Um, you can't get all the colors because some of those special Pikmin are rare. You only get them in caves, and that's the amount you have. So those you have to be a little more careful with. Meanwhile, like red ones, blue ones, yellow ones, ice ones. I just got an ice onion recently, and those will let you have way more, and you can use those for some of the riskier things.
Okay.
Let's talk about Ochi. You can ride Ochi, and Ochi has their own little set of abilities. One of them is a charge. So first off, Ochi can jump. You can't jump. Ochi jumps. So you need to be riding Ochi to get up on like certain ledges and such. It's not like a huge jump, but you can't jump otherwise. And if you hold down the jump button, Ochi will charge. So you use that to charge at an enemy. Smaller ones will just get fucked up in one charge. And the bigger ones, you charge into them, it does a chunk of damage, and then all the Pikmin you have with you that are riding on Ochi get sent onto the enemy and attack.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
So that is pretty much how I start every single fight with enemies. And if it's like a bigger enemy or a boss, I'll then call all the Pikmin back on my whistle, get back on Ochi, and charge again and send them all at once.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I find that to be the best way to do combat. But you can also, if you're not riding Ochi, send Ochi in for combat where Ochi will be like biting the enemy. And just with Pikmin, you can send Ochi to carry things. Ochi does get stronger as the game goes on and you upgrade Ochi. And eventually Ochi swims pretty early on in the game, and that is a pretty big difference.
Hmm.
There are timed days, and well, actually, I guess we'll talk a little bit about Ochi's upgrades. Ochi's the only one that has like a skill tree. Every time you rescue another person or crew member, you get +1 Ochi level basically, and you can use let's call them Ochi points instead of skill points. And each Ochi skill, which is like you make his bite stronger, he charges up his charge move faster, all stuff like that. They
Build
all
up those
cost different
hammies.
amounts. Yeah, build up those hammies exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, like you use Ochi, and he can carry like he's worth like 20 Pikmin or whatever it is
Oh
to like
shit!
carry thing. Like he gets pretty strong.
Like from the get go, when you get him, can you just use them for shit?
You can use him for shit, but he's a basic Ochi in the beginning, and then as the game goes on and you rescue more people, that's how you get the Ochi points, as I call them, and that will let you level Ochi up.
Okay.
The days are timed, so you don't want to be out at night. In fact, you can't be out at night when you go out on a day expedition. So you go on a day expedition. There's a time meter in the top left, and the last little chunk is all in red. And when you get to that chunk, it's like, hey, if you have any idle Pikmin out in the world, not in your crew at the moment, and not at a base, they'll die. So get them.
These guys die really easily.
They can, yeah, they do. Um, so my whole thing was like, once I was one notch above when it gets red in the time, I was like, all right, I'm gonna finish my activity. Well, I'll go back to the base, get whatever treasure I need, and then in the pause menu, you can end the day right there. You don't have to wait for the day to end. I thought you did it for like a day, and then I realized, oh, I can just end it. And then go back to the hub area and leaflings. I know you looked these up before the show. They're not human. I don't know what the species of the people are in Pikmin.
Something.
But a lot of them have been turned into leaflings, which their whole head is just like leaves. And they're fucked up. They're not themselves. And you rescue them. And you can rescue them in a few ways. So most of them you're going to find in caves. In fact, I'm going to go in and say all of them you find in caves. So the way a cave works is you come across basically like a hole that you can jump into. And a lot of the times when going through a cave will give you access to another part of the map, and that's the only way to get to it. And most of them will have multiple different levels to them. Each level has its own set of treasures to collect, its own set of enemies to kill, and each cave will all kind of have its own little gimmick to it. In a fun way, they'll be kind of more puzzly. I don't want to compare them to Shrines in Zelda because it's not that puzzly, but it's kind of like a Pikmin equivalent, if you will.
Are we watching Breath of the Wild become like the Ubisoft treatment at Nintendo, where it's
No,
like,
because this is certainly not like there. You can make that comparison between like shrines and caves. There's not nearly as many caves, and it's certainly not. It's really not that. It's just kind of a comparison you could make. But at no point playing this am I like, whoa, this is just like Breath of the Wild.
it's the same thing. There's onions.
There's onions.
Yeah.
Um, each level will tell you in the pause menu on the map, like, oh, you've got 100% of the treasures here. You can move on to the next level. And those are like the main puzzle caves. Each one does also end with a boss, and all the bosses have been pretty unique, so that's been fun. It's also where you get a lot of the rarer Pikmin, so like the purple ones, the rock ones. They'll even have little onions in the underground where, like, let's say it's a purple onion for the purple ones. You can throw 5 other types of Pikmin in there, and they will become that type. But you can only do it with 5, and then the onion disappears. So you can't just make like endless amounts of these ones.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other caves are, all right, you ready for this concept? There's Dendori.
I thought it was Don Dory.
Maybe it's Dondori.
I think it's Dandori.
Dandori. The Leaflings are obsessed with Dandori. But so are your crewmates in a way. They tell you Dandori is very important.
So is just Japan in general.
It's
Japan just loves Dandori.
yeah, Dandori. It's basically just being efficient.
It's just teamwork.
It's just coming up with a strategy to do things in an efficient way. Which is like apparently the whole shtick with playing Pikmin. You want to be efficient. You want to come up with a good strategy. So there are Dandori challenge caves, which is a Leafling will be like, "Show me your Dandori skills," and you have a certain amount of time to. When you go into caves, I will also say you don't bring your Pikmin with you, like the ones you have in your current squad. It tells you like, hey, you're gonna need red and yellow Pikmin in here, and then you could choose like red and yellow Pikmin to bring in. You can also, unlike in the outside world, if you let's say you have 50 Pikmin, that's your max, and you find more Pikmin down there, you can have like 60 Pikmin with you at once, even though you can't. And then when you leave the cave, you have to go back down to 50.
Okay.
So there's the challenge caves, which they give you a starting set of Pikmin, and you have to go around this one floor of a cave and collect enough treasures to bring it up to a minimum point threshold to pass the test. And you could from there you can get like a bronze medal, a silver, and a gold. But you only need the bronze to make that Leafling pass out and bring him back home to rescue him.
Rescue.
We'll get there.
Sure.
And then there's the Dandori Battle Caves, which is with one specific Leafling. And this is the closest it gets to an RTS, to where you have your base, and you both start with the same certain types of Pikmin and number, depending on the cave. And your enemy, which is the same one for all these battle caves, has their base, and you duke it out in a certain amount of time to who can get the highest number of points. And you can attack like their Pikmin. They have their own dog. Yeah, and they like at some point in later ones, like items, like power ups start dropping, almost Mario Kart style, to where you pick it up and you use it, and like it'll shoot a lightning bolt onto them and stun them. And then also as time goes on, it will be like, oh, if you defeat this enemy and bring it back to your base, it's worth double points.
Double points.
So your strategy will quickly become like, okay, I'm gonna find those enemies and bring them back for the points.
If I could interject real quick.
Yeah.
There's a type of enemy in Final Fantasy called the Akashic.
Okay. Is that something I should look up?
No, but they straight up 100% just ripped the audio files of Nazi zombies and gave it to these characters, these things.
It's in Final Fantasy?
It's 100.
What does this have to do with Pikmin?
Double points.
What?
Double points. Double points is a power up in Nazi zombies. Nazi zombies being the audio that was stolen and given to the Final Fantasy characters.
Okay.
This is how ADHD works. Everything has a connection. Everything does.
6 degrees of ADHD.
Oh yeah. That's chilly.
So that's how the caves work. There are 6 different areas, and they're all pretty unique. So like one of the, it starts out pretty basic, like, oh, you're just in like part of a yard. But then let's say the next one is like, oh, you're clearly in what appears to be a sandbox. And that one will have like a big puddle of water in the middle, but then halfway through the day, the water like evaporates because it's so hot, and then you can explore where that water is, but because there's no more water.
So like, is the entire game just different sections of like a backyard or a house?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so it's just grounded.
Very similar in that regard.
Okay. So, like, would you leave the sandbox at all for that area, or like you are in the sandbox? That is it.
No, it's not. It's all like level based. Like there's 6 areas, and you pick which one you're going to for the day, and then you're there for the day, and you're just in that like closed area.
So then, what's like the loop? What's the like story campaign? Like, what are you doing?
You're collecting treasure,
That's it.
and you're collecting the leaflings. You're saving them.
But like, where's the progression?
You need what is it? Sparklium. You
Yeah.
need sparklium from treasures to upgrade the SS Shepherd. The more sparklium you get, once you reach a certain threshold, that will allow you to explore further areas. So you unlock the next area, and the leaflings we are basically about to get to. This is part of the reason why I said I don't think you'd like this game. You do have to like collect a certain amount of treasures to advance, but it's basically like going through a level. So the way I look at it is like I'm going through a level, I'm doing all the little puzzles, I'm collecting everything, and then you like 100% that level. It will always have a percentage on your map of like, hey, you're 65% of the way through this level. You've collected 65% of things. And then I've been 100%ing each one as I go through. Same thing with the caves. Like when I go through a cave, 100% it. And then once I have that level 100%ed, there's no reason to go back.
So from that perspective, it turns into more of like just a sort of Captain Toad treasure tracker, but more so like Mario Odyssey, where you're just collecting moons to be able to move on to the next location.
Yes, but less Captain Toad because that is like you.
Captain Toad in the effect of you have to do side shit to progress the game.
No, because it's not really side shit. That is like the whole point of the game is to go through these levels and collect these treasures. You certainly like I would have like multiple of the areas unlocked before even starting the next one. It's not a crazy threshold, and the treasures are not like there are some hidden ones, but you certainly don't need to get all of them to progress. If you just explored a whole level and collected all the treasures you saw along the way, you are more than fine doing that.
I don't. I don't like Captain Toad.
It's not as offensive with its threshold with this, but I still don't think you'd like it because I know you don't like that feeling of being limited by that.
I mean,
But
for if what I'm already hearing is just puzzles upon puzzles, and that's it. You granted a little bit of combat, if you can call it combat.
it is combat because there is different enemies you need different Pikmin for, and different Pikmin will do different things in combat. And it is more active, especially with Ochi, like running around gathering your Pikmin. Because if you just leave them to attack and not like call them back and do different strategic things, they'll just get fucked up. They'll die.
These are just, I mean, even just manage. I don't really care much for managing games in general.
It's I am typically with you. It's Nintendo. It's very accessible. It is not complicated. It's not.
Well, let me ask you this: how long of a game is it?
Well, that's weird for me to answer because I've been like 100%ing it. I would guess if you're not 100%ing and just kind of do like a casual playthrough, maybe 15 to 20 hours would be my guess.
Okay.
I
Wait
don't
a
know.
minute.
Like you probably check how long to beat.
Why do the white ones have red eyes?
That's just their thing.
Are those the winged ones?
No, those are the poison ones.
Oh, the pink ones are the winged ones?
Pink ones are the winged ones.
All right, I see them now.
Let's talk about night expeditions. And then we'll get to the hub area. So, night expeditions, you can choose at the beginning of a day. Or you can do a day expedition, which is everything we've been talking about, or a night expedition. You can do one or the other for the day. Night expedition is you go out at night, and this is more of like a base defense mode. So you have like a so this is where glow Pikmin come in. They are the only Pikmin you have for this. They're glow Pikmin. They are green. They're like floating little ghost Pikmin. And there are these little like crystals all over the place, like piles of crystals. And you bring those piles of crystals back to your base, and that will add your glow Pikmin amount for that night. Now you have a little bit of time in the beginning of the night, and then enemies start attacking your base. It's basically like a little mountain with little holes in it for the crystals, and you have to defend that. Enemies try to attack it. If they destroy it, you lose. You lost that night. You defend it, and later on they start adding like multiple things to defend. And each, I said each level has 3 like base spots. Each base spot has a night expedition you can do at it.
Okay.
And for each mountain little pile nest thing that you defend, you get medicine. Or they call it glow sap, which the doctor makes into medicine. And you give a leafling that medicine, and they are back. They're no longer leafling. And this is how you end up getting more members of your crew and so many random characters that will do different things for you. Some of them will unlock, that's hub area now. This is a good transfer for the hub area. This is where all the characters are. This is where you start every day, and then you choose what level you want to go to, whether you want to do a day or night expedition. It's where you return every night. All the characters are here, so all the other rescue corps, along with random characters you find that came to this planet that found Olimar's signal, like his help signal. And someone will be like, oh, this is an unexplored planet. We're a research team. Let's go check it out. And that research team will have like the creature person or the plant person. Or there was a school field trip, or there was like a celebrity reporter that was going there.
Are
And
you in the games? Are you actually going to other planets?
no, you're on one planet.
Earth.
No.
You're in a backyard though.
Yeah, but they all are. All the Pikmin games are pretty much like that.
Earth.
Then there's a lot of Earths.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. Okay. One of them is like a barber, and you could change your appearance with them. You can make yourself look like a leafling if you so desire.
I was just gonna ask, actually.
you can do that. It's where you level up Ochi. You get side quests, and when I say side quests, it's really just like, hey, mature 300 Pikmin, and you get some of that natural resource stuff. Or it's like, hey, to find this many different types of creatures, and then you get more of the resources. It's basically just like do the normal shit you're doing, and sometimes you do enough of it to get some extra resources.
Passive tasks.
Yeah. You can also upgrade. There's like a scientist dude there, and using those raw materials, which the way I would do it is I like to always have 50 on hand, because you use those raw materials to build different clay things in or clay or dirt, whatever it is, in levels. So like there's a clay mound, let's say, in a level that you can build a bridge there. Let's say you need 30 of those natural resources. You send 30 Pikmin, they run back to the base, take resources and transfer them to mud, clay shit, and build a bridge for you. So I always like to have at least 50 on hand going into a level, but you can also use those resources to get all sorts of different gear. It doesn't really change the way you look, but you get different gear that will make you and Ochi separate pieces of gear, like immune to electricity, immune to fire, immune to all that stuff. Then also some really useful things. So one of them is like an idle caller. So when you send Pikmin back with treasures back to the base, they don't come back to you. They stay at the base.
What they think they could, after a hard day's work, they could kick their feet up and shit.
So yeah, so the idle thing is like they're considered idle Pikmin then. And once you get the idle caller, the little symbol is like a Pikmin like lounging on its side. Normally you would have to go back to the base and like recollect them. Like, all right, let's go back out. The idle thing, you just send it out, like you activate it, and all the Pikmin come to that location that are currently idle and not doing a task, or not part of like your squad. So that is like a super useful one to get, and it's a lot of stuff like that.
How is working conditions? Is there an HR? I feel like
I mean, no, because they're out there dying. So no, they're also not very intelligent.
So
Even
no.
in the beginning, it's just like they love carrying things for some reason.
Oh my! Look at all these donkeys.
No one's forcing them to do it.
Imagine a donkey walked up to you, be like, "Bro, please, can you just put some weight on my back for a second?"
You also get items from this dude who will give you like once you unlock a new item, they'll give you a prototype for free, and then it costs only like 5 of the raw material or 10 to get a new one. And items can be anything from bombs to a specific carrot thing you can throw to distract enemies.
The two
It's
usual items:
yeah,
ca- carrot like and bombs.
and bombs. Yeah, they're all pretty basic things like that. I honestly have found very little need for the items. I pretty much never use them. One of them
Okay.
is like an ice thing you can use to throw over a body of water to freeze it for like just a quick few seconds if you don't have ice Pikmin and just want to cross a body of water. But again, if a level is recommending ice Pikmin, I just have them with me anyway.
I mean, if you're
It's
100%ing the game, you have, I assume, more than enough reserves, and just
yeah, I have had zero issue, even with like some boss battles in the cave, like losing a lot of my Pikmin.
I'm gonna assume no, but do games like this give you difficulty options?
There is difficulty options actually. There was did they call it a story? No, it wasn't a story mode. But there are options, yeah. Let's take a quick look. Ba, 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 ba.
IGN says there is no option.
Oh, maybe there's not.
This again is great for younger players who are still learning the ropes of
No, there's not.
Pikmin,
I was wrong.
and they'll surely
I thought there
appreciate the
was.
assistance, but Pikmin 4 doesn't offer any difficulty settings, like some previous games in the series have.
Yeah, I thought it did, but it does have the rewind button, so it you can just not ever fuck up with that.
Okay.
But like I said, I haven't used it. I've been collecting everything, and I've had zero problem. It's really not a challenging game,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not difficult. That is the basic loop. It is very smartly designed in a way of like I start to see like, oh, I go on a day expedition. The day is timed because then I get to go back to the base, upgrade Ochi, upgrade my different like equipments and my own armor and stuff, and then go back out, do it again. You'll just respawn on whatever base you ended at the day before. And it's that is the cycle. That's the loop. And I will say it does very much so give the feeling of like I'll just do one more day and then I'll go to bed.
Yep.
I'm in this. I just found I'll just get through this cave and then I'll go. It scratches that itch of constantly giving you like little tiny sections to explore within a big level and all the treasures. Like I'll just get that treasure over there, and then it leads you to another treasure and another location. It's very much that.
You get the opposite with Final Fantasy. Another cutscene? Oh my god.
The writing is it's tongue in cheek. It's humorous. It's lighthearted.
Does
I have
Pikmin
had
do like that?
no.
No, they don't have like little like hypothetical noise that just goes over the text box as it goes.
Uh yes, it does actually. And I could never tell if they were like speaking Japanese or if it was just a made up language. But yes, as I'm actually thinking about it, they do that.
An
Yes.
entire paragraph comes up and just oh oh.
No, it's not. I wish. But the writing has been like it's not a serious game, but it has been pretty humorous. I will
Look,
say,
if you want a serious game, Pikmin's Sinister Incineration is out
yeah,
there
try to
somewhere.
find that. Um, I I guess the only flaws I look at with this game is it's a very well polished. Like I had even with 100 Pikmin, there was never like it was never too much. Like frames wouldn't start dropping. Never had that issue. It's that typical Nintendo visual style of not being super realistic looking. It goes for more of a cartoony style, but it works. It looks it looks nice. It's
Hmm.
very colorful. Um, a couple, I guess, flaws would be you could say it gets repetitive at some point. I do think the different gimmicks of all the caves and each level being even though it's the same cycle, just a whole different visual set of levels
Mm,
does keep it fresh enough to keep it going, and the loop is satisfying enough of just like you're just always seeing those numbers go up constantly
yeah.
in a fun way.
Is this another Nintendo release that makes you question why they lacked so hard on making the Pokemon games look good?
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it looks better than the Pokemon games,
It's a
but
Pikmin game, so
it
I'm just gonna assume that that's just gonna be an unspoken. Why didn't they put more effort into?
sure, yeah. I mean, it's not like that's the thing though. Like, no one or nothing is super detailed. You know,
Yeah,
like you look at a Pikmin, it's just a little color blob with some eyes and a leaf.
yeah.
They're not going for a whole lot there. You put I see you added something. My final score, I'm giving it a solid 8.5. This is it's nothing groundbreaking by any means, but it's just fun. It's
You
a
gotta
good game.
you gotta preface this by saying that if you like these kind of games, it's probably an 8.5.
I guess so, but I will also say I don't like these types of games because they're always way too complicated and stressful. This is very lighthearted, accessible. Like, I'm not like an RTS person.
No,
I'm
but you
not like a
have played
resource
Pikmin 1 and
management.
2
When I was
as
a
a youngin.
kid and
Y-
never finished them
But
because
that's
they were too
still
hard.
it's still some like connection and nostalgia. It's something.
Sure, but
It
I've
gives you part of
also
a reason.
played like RTS games in the past and I don't like them.
Yeah, because you're just obsessed with just Pikmin.
No, I
And
think it's just the fact that it's super accessible, especially this one. I have a feeling if you went back and played Pikmin 1 now, it would be like this is hard.
probably.
Granted,
At
I haven't played
least
since I was a kid and I was not as well skilled as I am now, but yeah,
at least 3 has difficulty options.
at least 3 has difficulty options. The only one I haven't played.
All right, now for the real final score.
So I give it an 8.5. I see you put in, is this a daytime Dylan game? Didn't scratch that itch for me.
Didn't think so. But you
Didn't.
never know.
I mean, there are daytime expeditions and it's daytime the whole time, but it just didn't. There's no science behind it. It's a feeling thing.
It is, but that's the thing, because the next time that you're gonna say, "Yeah, that's a daytime Dylan game," I'm gonna go, "How? How?" It doesn't
Yeah.
make no goddamn sense because you can take some of those aspects and be like, "Yeah, Pikmin has that, but that's not a daytime Dylan game." You're like, "I know," and I'm just like, "No, I don't fucking know. It doesn't make no goddamn sense."
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But no, it doesn't fall in a daytime Dylan game scale.
Oh no.
We do have a write-in. This is from a novel console at a novel console on X, Twitter, X.
Fucking dumbass. It's Twitter. Stupid.
It's-
Hate it. I hate it all. I hate
they
it.
are another podcast. Go check out their show. They said 100 out of 10. It's my favorite. It's my game of the year, and I cannot wait to give it another playthrough. I didn't find it too challenging, and that's exactly what I needed. It's definitely a masterpiece. Also, Ochi is the best boy.
Now, this isn't necessarily a question directed at you because I know the type of person you are, but what would make someone replay a Pikmin game?
Replay? I'm not sure what would make you replay. I could see if you're not 100% in it as you're going through, like I am,
Mm-hmm.
like jumping back into older levels to get the rest of the treasures. There's I guess the replayability would just be if you really like that gameplay loop. Because like
Okay.
once you collect the treasures in a level, you 100% it. You're not like going back in and there's those treasures respawn and you can just keep doing it.
Right. I mean,
So I
let's.
guess if
Yeah.
you really like the gameplay loop and want to keep that going, it would be that. I mean, I agree with a lot of what they said. Uh, well, it's not my game of the year. I certainly didn't give it 100 out of 10. But that is not too challenging. It is a very lighthearted, accessible game. Ochi is the best boy. This is correct. Cannot deny that. Yeah, it's good. It's a solid Nintendo release that I don't think is. It's certainly not a Nintendo mainstream title. I don't think Pikmin ever really was that.
I think I saw an article recently saying that Pikmin 4 possibly at least physically outsold Final Fantasy 16.
That doesn't feel right. Unless no, because no, I don't. Yeah, that doesn't feel right. I was gonna say unless like there's a big market in Japan for Pikmin, but there's a big market for Final Fantasy, I'd imagine, in Japan as well.
Pikmin 4 outsells Final Fantasy 16 in just 1 week in Japan. Pikmin
Interesting.
4 sold. Okay. Okay.
All right,
Pikmin
what's the technicality they're going for here?
Pikmin 4 sold 401,853 copies so far. Final Fantasy sold a total of 401,376. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, but that's still. I mean, I guess there is also the point of like it was the 3DS in Japan, and then at some point it became the Switch of like everyone has one. It's like everyone's playing it on their commute and stuff.
I mean, I could look at this up myself, but what was Pikmin 3 released on?
Wii U.
Just?
I don't think that was ever ported to Switch,
But like,
and it wasn't on Wii.
but has any have all Pikmin games ever been just straight handheld?
No, 1 and 2 are GameCube,
Hmm. Poor Wii U.
and Wii U and Switch. They're both. I mean, Wii U is not a handheld. You could use it as a handheld if you were within range of your Wii U.
Right, but I'm just imagining like Pikmin 2.5 or Pikmin 3 on the 3DS or some shit.
I
Especially for
don't
the
think there was.
3DS.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever any Pikmin thing on a handheld.
Dude, you have the 3DS with 3D capabilities. Have one of the Pikmin throw it himself at the screen so he's coming out at you. That's
Whoa,
um
insane!
make me a game where the Pikmin come at me.
Oh boy, wow. Let's talk about some notable game releases on that note.
There's only one and it's not even notable.
Oh, it's so notable. WrestleQuest comes out August 8th, 2023 on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Switch. You can look forward to our episode on that on August 17th as the year of wrestling continues here at Offshore Gamescast.
Ugh.
Dave,
what it
tell the people. Tell
what
the people
tell him what?
what you've been
Oh,
watching.
no, listen. All
What
right.
have you been watching?
I like I said, do I have to read the text verbatim? This words we live in a society, right? A society that is always listening, always figuring out what our next move is and what it can do to help make our day better.
And always wrestling.
Except for some reason, it takes whatever Dylan says and puts it into my phone. So I'll just be doing my own shit on TikTok and algorithm, and all of a sudden I'll be watching a 4 minute video on why the Ultimate Warrior was so hated and ended up getting fired because he wanted to, be on the same level as someone like Hogan. But they realized that there was no way he had the same marketability. So like, why would they keep pestering him around? I shouldn't know that. I shouldn't just know that.
Well, you see, it was clearly interesting enough though that you watched it.
Yeah.
Warrior was on so much cocaine.
I mean, I've been seeing a lot of Hulk Hogan. A lot of just Hulk Hogan interviews now have been like, "Yeah, I was an asshole back in the day." Like
He's
that's,
no, that's still the case.
but
He's
like,
still he's not a good dude.
I mean, more so, I guess, just acknowledging that fact, and then a lot of Andre, like talking about Andre.
Yeah, he
Um,
was. He his body got real messed up.
well, yeah.
it, like, do you know the whole the princess bride thing with like? There's the one scene where he's holding the person in it, and even though he's so large, like that was much later in his life, that he was so weak that the she had to be like held by strings and stuff.
Oh,
Maybe not strings, but like harnesses, and he would like pretend to hold her because he couldn't actually hold that weight anymore. That was part of the whole. There was like a. I didn't watch the whole thing, but there was a a really well reviewed Andre documentary that came out. I want to say on HBO.
Interesting. Princess Bride's a great fucking movie.
It's a good movie.
Look at that. That is so interesting. Because like you, especially, it's so funny because you wouldn't expect it, because like his hand is a straight up like pauldron for her shoulder. Like
It's
that's
it's
how big it is.
yeah, it's massive, but his body was so like weak at that point.
Oh my god, what was it? What was the stupidest story? They were talking about Andre, and like he was at like a hotel, and he's like, hey boss, come here, I gotta show you something. And they walk in, and he like took a shit on the bed, and they're like, Andre, and he's like, It's like, what?
Sick.
It's like, really? This is what we came here for? Uh, 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 uh,
Wrestling baby.
Come look what I did. Oh, that's
Uh,
great. Oh, I hate my life.
You're gonna be such a wrestling person.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
good. It's already the seeds are planted. You're gonna
I'm
get there.
I'm too busy to be into anything else.
I feel I'm like at this point probably like a solid 3 weeks behind on AEW with it's 2 shows a week. So yeah, I get that.
Mhm.
I'll catch up though.
I still haven't seen Stranger Things season 4.
It's good.
I feel like I don't care by this point because it's been so long, and I know everyone dies, and that like it feels like nothing matters anymore.
I don't think you know what happens in Stranger Things season 4. Then
No, but like I, the big thing that people really hate about Stranger Things is that every time they introduce a new character that
yeah,
season, they die. So
yeah,
like, why the
that
fuck am I gonna
happens.
give a shit about Eddie? He's gonna die. Like that's half the reason. Like I don't care. And then there's
Because
the
he's
whole
cool.
there's the whole Vecna shit. Fucking Hopper's in Russia and then he's back. I don't like. I feel like I just don't care. And also, they didn't kill off Mike. So like, why am I
There's
even
still one
watching?
season.
It doesn't matter. I said he was gonna die in season
So
4,
you want
like
to watch because
like
you
5 years
read
ago.
something?
There's so many reasons built up, but for the fact that I know that he doesn't die is like now there's real no reason to watch because like he's just gonna live.
Well, there's one more season.
It's not gonna matter if he dies in season 5 though.
What?
I'm not gonna feel anything good about it. I was right to a point, but not to a full point. That's not good enough. I'm not here to win off technicalities.
Is this your whole thing with like watching a show or a movie? You make a prediction and that based on how right it was is how much you liked it.
Dude, imagine. Oh my god, I would. Some of my favorite movies would be the worst movies ever
Yeah,
seen.
because
Then
usually it's not great if it's super predictable.
no, it's not. Oh man.
All right, Dave. Let's finish this. Thank you to everyone who listened. Thank you for listening to all that Pikmin talk. Thank you, Dave, for getting through it. Thank you for being patient with getting to green Pikmin.
I I
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yep.
so much Pikmin that I never wanted to know.
There's this game specific. There are so many systems. Like there was so much to go over.
Were you shocked?
Oh. Next week, Lyle is back. Oxenfree 2.
Oxenfree 2, and then afterwards, WrestleQuest, and then after that,
Who
can't
knows?
say. We're not allowed to say. I know exactly what I'm doing.
It's an NDA. We signed it. We can't announce it until next week.
When can I talk about the NDA I signed like 3 years ago?
I mean, I don't think that ever runs out. I don't think those expire.
I feel like if I talked about it, no one would care anyway.
Probably not, but that honestly is probably like when the game comes out. You could probably talk about it when it's all like public.
Yeah, but like they've had to come out with new NDAs since then because they've updated the
Yeah, but
game.
that doesn't make an old NDA expire.
Look, if you put out an NDA that says sit in a room alone with the windows drawn closed and don't let anybody inside that room, it better be the best game ever.
Feels
And
so extreme.
definitely not a Ubisoft multiplayer game.
Goodbye, everyone.